gentlemen, and welcome to episode 101, the Dalmatian episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California, joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how you doing today?
You had the obvious 101 level course of geekdom and sports reference, and you went with the Dalmatians of Disney.
Sorry.
We're not even sponsored. Here. We do, but I mean, it's a good movie. They're making a new Cruella. I guess that's something we could segue. Ray, I got a problem. Ray, okay, so this is coffee.
Emma Stone.
Who doesn't?
I have my Star Wars mug. That's Disney now. So.
I love Emma Stone, too. It's time for her to come into the geek world, but that'll happen eventually.
Yep.
I got an issue, Ray. So I ordered coffee from this place called Lacus Coffee, who I love. I love their coffee, all right? So just so everybody knows how I found this place, I'm partial to diner coffee. I've always liked diner coffee more than any other coffee. There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but New Jersey down to Pennsylvania, you get coffee in a diner, it's going to be a good cup of coffee. I don't think I've ever had a bad cup of coffee in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. I searched on Google one day, went to the interwebs. I said, what coffee do they use in diners? I'm like, you know what? I have the web. I'm going to use it. I found it, right? It's called Lacus Coffee. And guess what? I get it delivered to my house. They make K-Cups. They make full bags. I get 5-pound bags of the city roast, which is exactly what they send to the diners. Right. And it's awesome, right? I have diner coffee every day.
Nice.
First time this has ever happened. I don't want to call it the company because I really like them. But I ordered a couple extra bags of coffee this time. I asked my employees, what kind of coffee do you want? Yeah, Kasey wanted dark roast, so I got him some dark roast. I'm sure he'll make a video now of him with the dark roast. That's his call out really early in the episode today. And then they also had this, you'll like this, they had this Eagles championship blend, right? It was like a medium dark blend. And I was like, oh, why not? It's on sale, right? Eagles suck now. So I'm going to get that, right? I got 100% decaf Colombian instead by accident. What the hell am I gonna do with decaf?
It's flat.
By the way, packaged. Oh yeah, it's true. I can't even fight you on that right now. You know, it's packaged nice. Again, they don't pay us for this. I really do like this. If you're looking for good coffees, you can order it online. They have K-Cups. They send me decaffeinated. So now I got to email them back, and the email is gonna be like something like, "Dear friends at Lacus, I got my recent order in. I was expecting, as the receipt says here, champion blend, medium grind, 12 ounces, but instead I got decaffeinated Colombian. If it was regular Colombian, wouldn't have said a word.
Wouldn't have been that bad. No, but the fact it says decaf, yeah.
It's probably champion. It's probably just Colombian anyway. But I got the decaf Colombian, which is like, you know, what am I supposed to do with decaf? Look, I'm sure there's people out there that drink decaf.
I don't know why.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's some sort of medical condition with your heart, then I get it because, you know, you got to have something.
Right, yeah, for sure. Caffeine, obviously, gets the blood pumping, yeah.
But that happened to me this week. And, you know, it's not like there's a global pandemic going on or anything like that we should be focused on. I got decaf coffee. What am I going to do with decaf coffee? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this show.
Yes.
I'm going to email them, and they're going to probably make it right, and then I'll have the championship blend, and I'll let you know how it was on a future episode. That's my promise to all of you out there today.
Fantastic. Well, we also have, my promise to everybody out here is we got a great show for you. We've got a lot to talk about. NFL free agency, the NCAA tournament has started. We've also got some video game stuff to talk to about. We got Captain America stuff. Also, by the way, you mentioned Emma Stone. Emma Stone was Gwen Stacy, so she has dipped her toe into the geek world.
One day, she'll be in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
That is still canon.
That is still canon. There we go. There we go. She has an opportunity now to come back into the MCU. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about here. Kicking things off, the big thing we're doing. So we're doing a non-spoiler cast here first. We're kicking it off with Justice League. This is because, first off, it's only been out for about 48 hours, and the movie itself is 46 hours. So we figure that for a lot of folks, the math just doesn't work. Obviously.
With that said, we know a lot of the diehards that listen to the show. I know you've probably watched it, but we needed to give our audience just a week longer. A week longer. Right. It's a 4-hour film.
Yes.
I have seen it.
I have not, because I've been busy with something else we'll talk about later on.
Ray actually has a very legitimate reason for not having seen it. So we want to do a spoiler-free review, hopefully to answer the question of should I watch this or not.
Yeah.
The short answer is you should watch this. It was much, much better than the 2017 Justice League. Again, I will not be giving anything away. I will tell you this. There are elements of the story that are expanded upon, number one, that make it a much more wholesome film. What I mean by that is a lot of the puzzle holes, and you kind of see it now that when you watch this, right, you'll see like, wow, they shouldn't have cut that. That would have made this scene more powerful. Mm-hmm. And then when you do see the scene again, it is much more powerful. So it really is like seeing a new movie in a lot of ways, okay? I'll say this. There are probably 3 or 4 scenes that are in the original cut that are like, okay, I know where this goes.
Right.
But most of them don't feel the same for multiple reasons. One is every scene is completely edited differently, right? So like scenes that you've seen also don't end the same way. That's very important. Of those 3 or 4 or 5 scenes I talked about, none of them end the way they did as from 2017.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's really important, and they totally make more sense. That's number one. All right, I can tell you this. We get a much larger backstory on Flash, on Cyborg, and on Aquaman. All right, which was noticeably missing from the 2017 version. They just kind of show up because Batman wants them to.
Right.
This one adds, especially Cyborg, massive depth to him. And especially with Flash. I mean, it gives you much more Flash than the original one did. A lot more scenes. It fleshes his character out. It also expands upon his power set, which is incredibly important. You know, in the 2017 version, Aquaman and Flash were kind of the comic relief.
Right.
I didn't feel like that at all. I mean, Flash is still very funny, but they are not just side characters. Yeah.
Right.
A majority of this movie, Ray, was brand new. I'd never seen it. Movie starts totally differently, totally different tone. And what I'll tell you is this, if I'm going to just kind of close out the review here without giving anything away. We talked about this before. It's done in chapters, which makes it very consumable. It is 4 hours long, but it does not feel 4 hours long. I think that's very important. There are some scenes that kind of extend a bit where your brain kind of goes like, wow, they're spending a long time on this. And then you immediately remember, well, they have 4 hours. They can spend as much time as they want on anything.
Right.
We know this. Steppenwolf, so much better in the. It's like just so much better. He's not walking around like, oh, mother is calling. It's just, which was just horrible, right? Like he's so much better. The backstory on him, why he's doing what he's doing, who he serves, why he serves, like all of that is way more expanded upon. They also really expand upon the heroes. I can't say much more on that. But there's far more heroes in this than the original. And then I'll tell you this. There's about a 35-minute epilogue. And I believe the epilogue, and I can say this without saying anything, was Snyder saying, if I had the chance to continue, these are the directions I would have gone in. Right. Because there's probably...
So they're basically saying that there is no chance they're going to do his second.
No, I'm not going to say that. Okay. I'm saying that he said, you know, like we don't know, man. If this thing does really well, you never know with movie companies.
Well,
they might say, let's
Warner
keep
Brothers
going.
because they have no idea what they're doing.
I agree with you. But I think you know, they gave him the leeway, and I can dive way more into this next week. But the epilogue scenes. Very much say like these are the directions. It was almost like a tease, just like, hey, look, this is what I was thinking. I wanted to give this to you. It didn't feel bad. I didn't feel like, you know, it left you on the edge of your seat, like, oh, what's gonna happen now? I need to see it. You don't feel that way. You're like, oh, that would have been cool. I can say this because we know it. The nightmare scene is really good. Yeah, you're really gonna enjoy that. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And then overall, this was just a far better. This is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to shut up, okay? I promise. This film stands alone in the sense of they're not trying to be Marvel. We always say that.
Right.
This is the first time I've seen a DC film, probably outside Man of Steel, that was very much like, this is its own thing. It's not trying to be anything else. It's its own thing. It is very much Snyder-esque in the way it's shot. You will feel like you're watching 300 at times. Right,
that's good because I mean, I liked 300. I liked Watchmen. I do like some of his work.
Totally like that. And I will say this to you, Ray, and I'll be very interested to get your reaction next week when you watch it. This was clearly a love letter from Zack Snyder to those characters. He really does love comic books and comic book characters. No one's ever denied that. He's hit or miss on his movies sometimes.
Right.
But in terms of his love of the characters, that was pretty well set here. And I'll tell you this, if you go back to another episode, and again, I actually can't talk about that we talked about this because it might give stuff away, but we spoke about what his potential future was within this franchise, where he wanted to go. You and I both hated it.
Right.
I still don't love it, but after seeing this film, I'm intrigued by it. I was like, all right, okay. I now I kind of understand why you said that. If you apply that to the 2017 Justice League, it's like, no way does that work in any way. But after watching this, I'm like, all right, All right, I don't think I would have loved it, but I can see how you were going there. But I'm very interested to get your thoughts, Ray. Again, if we gave the first one a 4, I'm definitely giving this one a 7. I mean,
That's a pretty big jump. I
it
definitely
really was.
I wouldn't have given the first one a 4. I would have gone lower.
I'm just trying to give people an expectation. So
Yeah.
again, final review is this. Yeah, definitely go see it. Go see it. It's not a hot mess like the other
Right.
Batman.
By go see it,
Superman
obviously
was.
HBO Max. Obviously.
HBO Max. Well, it's the only place you can see it.
Right.
And again, everything is edited differently. Everything. Like you'll see shots. You're like, I know that shot, but it's a totally different place scenario. I'm really excited to hear your review on it, Ray. I am. But yeah, go see it.
See, now I'm curious to see it because I've also heard mixed reviews in the public. Obviously, critics have had mixed reviews on it.
Right. Right.
But I think this again also goes to the fact that I think that they promoted it too much leading up to this.
Absolutely. I'm
think
just going to tell you, I left
themselves
satisfied. I felt satisfied. When I left in 2017, I didn't feel satisfied. It was awkward. Something was wrong.
Yeah.
The upper lip of Cavill, which I will spoil this, is absolutely not a problem in this film. They completely fixed that. There's nothing that you don't even recognize that once. They did Superman so much better in this. It's really good. It's really well done. And the story makes sense. It just kind of makes sense. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Why didn't you include that in the original one? You know, so it was well done. Yeah.
But yeah, I will look forward. We do expect a full spoiler cast next episode 102 after I've watched it. Another thing I want to ask, the one thing I do know about this, and I know, again, also very mixed reactions.
Sure.
Why 4-3 over 16-9?
You know what? No one knows. It's a great. So what Ray's referring to is the movie's in 4:3. It's not widescreen. All right. And my guess, Ray, is that is just a nod to the original, Superman film and Batman films. Is that he always wanted to make a film there. I think it's also important to know, like, Danny Elfman didn't do the soundtrack for this. So if you remember when we actually talked about Justice League originally, Danny Elfman brought back kind of the original Superman theme and the original Batman theme. Totally out of this. They brought in a whole new music director for this. Like just some of the post-production stuff here made this way better. It's tough to explain, but like a lot of the things we hated about, like I can say this without spoiling, like how bright Superman was, and like the sky was red, and it was just like what is going on here? Like what are they in hell? Yeah. You know what I mean? This one just feels more real in quote unquote.
Right. It makes sense. It basically is saying it makes sense, and that's the important thing. And
it connects the other films too. By the way, it connects the other it connects.
Well, that's good. Well, again, it's supposed to be a universe. It's a shame. Everything. I guess. Well, again, I'll have a final review, but it sounds like it's a shame everything happened the way it happened.
Here's a question you'll get answered: Why are the mother boxes awake? Like they answer that very quickly, and it makes total sense. Right.
There you go.
And it also empowers the heroes. So, yeah, go see it. I'm really excited to have a spoiler cast about this next week. I will tell you this. I don't think you're going to leave it thinking, wow, I really need more of these films. I don't think you will.
Right.
But you're going to leave it going, you know what? If that's the final note on Zack Snyder's Superman and Batman and everybody, I'm okay with it. That's what I think you'll leave like.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. We will have a full spoiler cast next week, like Lee said. Again, I've been super busy. Haven't had a chance this week to take 4 hours again out of my week. It was hard enough getting 40 minutes for Captain America. We'll get it, or excuse me,
Falcon. We both had struggled to get that done before the show.
Yeah, so I mean, especially we're also recording it a day earlier than we normally do. We're recording on Saturday the 20th. For a variety of reasons as well.
That means you have the whole week to listen to this episode.
Yeah, so this will drop also a day earlier. This will drop on Monday. But yeah, because of that, we're recording a little earlier. We're releasing a little earlier for a variety of reasons, and so because of that, less time in this week to do the things we needed to do. One news story.
Hard knock life for us watching Falcon and the Soldier. Go ahead.
Okay. The other big thing. I don't know how to transition into this now. I had like a whole thing. Lee had to sing, and I had his whole thing.
You had a transition into what's next on the rundown?
Alrighty then. Well, I guess we're going to have to figure out a new transition, and it's going to be, speaking of streaming services.
Tom Ace. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Ace Ventura 3 is supposedly in the works over at Amazon for Amazon Prime after the success of Coming to America or Coming to America 2. Right. The 2 was the number 2. Anyway, supposedly, and I've been saying this, I think especially it's being done by the writers of Sonic the Hedgehog, which makes me very excited. But it feels like Jim Carrey had a really good time with that movie. You could kind of tell on the screen with Sonic the Hedgehog. Exactly. He got to go back to old Jim Carrey being over the top with ridiculousness Robotnik.
Right.
And the writers, obviously, they get him. He enjoyed working with them. And so finally, after about 25 years, we're finally going to get the third chapter, it looks like. It's in the works. Nothing's official yet. Nothing's, but it does look like they're in negotiations and the script is being written for Ace Ventura 3. I am very excited because even though the second one wasn't as good as the first, it had its moments. And the first one, of course, is a classic. The definition of geeks who love sports, the fact that they kidnapped Dan Marino. It's just
Don't forget the dolphin.
The whole, because of the dolphin, the whole Miami Dolphins, the dolphin, and for what we thought was going to be the last time the Eagles were in a Super Bowl in that movie.
Right,
but,
and then Ace beats the crap out of the Eagles mascot.
Yeah, which was
nice.
Hysterical. But yeah, it
really.
Really? Woo! Do not go in there.
I think your transition was the 2007 Justice League was a lahu zaher. What's funny is anybody under the age of 30 right now is like, I don't know that movie, Ace Ventura. What is that?
Please go.
I don't know. Look, it's one of the funniest 90s movies ever made. If you were a kid at that time.
And it was Jim Carrey's prime. It was Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber,
The Mask.
Yeah, The Mask. Like that
Cable
is like
Guy.
peak Jim Carrey for a while there. Like,
well, it's his roots. So here's the thing: is Jim Carrey in Sonic? I think everybody knew that was going to work, but I didn't think it was going to be that good. Like it was beyond good. It was like, wow, I haven't seen Jim Carrey do this in a long time.
20 years.
And then you kind of find out, because we're geeks here, but like you look at behind the scenes, how much stuff he ad-libbed in that and how he did it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, he's really on. Like he's really
back.
there. And yeah, it's weird because like Jim Carrey's gone through a spiritual journey. He has not been so pleasant in public lately to people, which is fine by me. He doesn't have to be pleasant to anybody. I mean, he gets hounded all the time. But yeah, if he wants to revive this role, it's going to need a really good script. It's obviously going to have to format itself to the current day and age with the way our culture is, and see how it fits in. That's my big worry is, does Ace Ventura fit into the society today, with the way things are. So if anyone can do it, he can do it. But it's going to have almost a heart this time, right? There's no way that movie would fly today. It's not because it's just slapstick silly. It's not because of any like cancer culture stuff.
Right.
It's just like, I don't know if people would really like a movie like that today, but I'm excited about it. It would introduce a whole new generation. Ace Ventura, my son would love that movie right now. It was so funny.
Yeah.
So
no,
good.
for sure. I mean, he's talking out his butt. Like, come on.
Let me ask you a few questions.
It was amazing. So we had to mention that. That's great news. It makes me very happy. Again, I am very much an Ace Ventura fan, so I am excited. I might actually have to have Lee give me his Amazon Prime login now, so to watch that.
Laces out.
Yes. Yeah, die, Dan, die.
Let's see that in an instant replay. Like I said, the quotable.
Again, for folks who haven't seen the movie, you have no idea what we're talking about. Go watch the movie.
Nothing like that ever existed. Three Stooges is the only other thing I could think of that got to that level.
Yeah, that's why I love it, because I'm a huge Stooge fan too. So, yeah. You know what? Speaking about I'm trying to think. I'm not on my transition game today, folks. My mind is scattered.
Speaking of animals, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, exactly.
I'll help you out with these transitions today.
Thank you.
By the way, comment below after the episode. Let us know what your favorite transition was, or the worst. Either way, we'll be happy to oblige. But speaking of birds.
Speaking of, exactly, the birds. Falcon and the Winter Soldier kicked off this week. We did watch it. No post-credit scene or anything like that. No surprise. We got a lot going on here, though, already in this first episode. If you didn't watch our StreamLounge.io stream this week, go back and watch it. You're missing out because we had, I know, I'm already casting the huge net of speculation after this first episode. But yeah, it was great. Again, very different tone from WandaVision right off the bat. A lot of action, some decent comedy, but definitely a lot more action. We have a 10-minute sequence there where it's Falcon versus Patriots the Leaper, which of course we knew again. Georges St. Pierre, the former UFC champion, came back, and again.
So it's almost like Marvel was like, here's your action scene. Here, take it.
Yes.
Eat it.
And it was like, great. Helicopters and missile launching and like fights in midair and like. Because that too, like the Falcon's main power is just that he flies. Right. So like, how are you going to do it? Well, you're going to get a bunch of terrorists in squirrel suits. It was fantastic. And again, Patriots the Leaper is a classic Captain America villain. Again, he's another one of these. They're also pulling into the depths of Cap's villains. Like, it's not just Red Skull. A lot of folks don't realize that. It's a lot of folks who typically, because Cap is a superhero, but he's the peak of humanity, right? The peak of the human condition
is what we aspire to be.
Right. He's right. He's not truly. He's a super soldier, but he's not like Superman strong or even Spider-Man strong, but he's strong. Like, so like he takes on a lot of guys who are hand-to-hand combatants and guys who use like guns. And Patriots the Leaper, again, expert martial artist, especially in kickboxing. Oh, let's get an MMA fighter to do this. So he got to reprise his role from the Winter Soldier, which was great. It was great to see him. By the way, he survives the fight, so it looks like he might come back at some point.
So let me ask you about that first, Ray. So a rare villain that continues to survive.
Yes.
Right? That doesn't happen. Do you think he'll come back in this show?
Yes.
I do too. All right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I'm wondering that because they don't let people survive too long in Marvel.
No, not
outside
usually.
the heroes.
Right.
Yeah. And he's not going to be the only one in this show that's alive still.
Yeah.
So
that was a big deal. We also get introduced to Falcon's new best buddy. He's, by the way, it takes place 6 months after the blip. So this is also after WandaVision, but it's right before Spider-Man Far From Home, I'd say. The big thing that it explains is that Falcon is like, as soon as he got back, he went back into the Air Force, been helping them as a special missions guy. His new best friend, Joaquin Torres, which is a big deal for those of you who don't know from the 2015 run of Captain America, where Falcon takes over the mantle of Cap once again. Basically, Falcon realizes he needs a Falcon once he regains the shield, and I kind of wonder if this is the story they're going for, because I'm going to predict it right now, and I think Lee's with me. By the end of this show, Falcon will be Captain America, and I think what they're setting up is that, like in the comics, Torres becomes the new Falcon. So, and honestly, it's not going to be that hard. It's just gives him the wings, gives him the backpack. So, I mean,
yeah. What I'm hoping is that they don't do what I think they make these mistakes sometimes where they're trying to lead us onto that because people will know about that and they end up killing Joaquin. Like, oh, haha. Like, I don't do that. Just keep it canon with this one.
Right.
I would love for Sam to be Captain America. The question is, if I may, moving this forward, we got a lot of Easter eggs in the credits here.
Yes.
One of them being the power broker.
Yes.
Who is someone that brokers power serum.
Right.
As Ray said last night, it's not anywhere near what Captain America got, but it can make you superhuman for a time.
Yeah.
And it does potentially give you an addiction.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Sam is going to get a dose or something like that to enhance him at some point within this show.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know in the comics that's basically how the power broker serum is how U.S. Agent gets his powers, right? He gets a more potent dose that makes him basically almost at the level of Cap, but that basically, again, the big difference between, and we're gonna get into that in a bit, but yeah, the credits were full of Easter eggs. The biggest one being the power broker. We believe the power broker is going to be the guy who distributes. So the guy. Again, you went out of order. I was building up to the power broker. Basically, what happens after another big thing we get revealed is the Flag Smashers.
Right.
For those who don't know, there's a group called Ultimatum in the comics. They're just called the Flag Smashers here, but they're led by a guy named Flag Smasher, who, again, expert martial artist. But his big thing is he's trying to unite the world under one flag, under one banner. So he hates nationalism. So he hates guys like Captain America, Captain Britain. He hates all those guys. So natural enemies. We see what looks like the leader of the Flag Smashers here. He looks to be super powered. Is he super powered? I mean, again, going to the power broker point, how does he become super powered? He probably gets this illegal drug that the power broker is on. Same thing at the very end of the show. The big reveal is we get U.S. Agent. We get John Walker. We know it's John Walker. And so the question now is that, right, the power broker is probably not only how these guys get their stuff, which like in the comics, U.S. Agent gets his power from the power broker. I mean, he's basically like Captain America, but he's much more of a nationalistic point of view, period. So he's like the opposite of Flag Smasher. Cap is that nice in between where it's like, yes, America's great, but remember we've got allies and friends and we all need to take everybody under consideration and like everybody should be treated equal and like the ideals of America is Captain America. U.S. Agent is kind of like our dark side, and Flag Smasher is kind of like anti-America, right? So like you've got these opposing forces, and the real question that I have is that would they do something like maybe making Flag Smasher and U.S. Agent, because they're both masked here, the same person, and that they're having their strings pulled by the power broker? Maybe it's an out there theory, but it's kind of at the very least we have to imagine the power broker is the guy giving both of these characters their powers.
And we also know that Helmut Zemo is going to be in the show. I wonder if he's the power broker. He's also masked in all the trailers for the show. So we'll see where this goes. Other quick notes on the show. Had already one more Avenger cameo than WandaVision and seeing War Machine.
Yes.
In a very early scene in which Sam is relinquishing the shield to the Smithsonian in Washington. By the way, also noted at the end that U.S. Agent, who they're calling Captain America right now,
right?
But he has the shield at the end,
Yes.
And Sam is visibly upset that they would do that. Things I think this is setting up, Ray, is that, the question is to me is obviously U.S. Agent's not going to maintain the Captain America title for the whole show. I mean, that wouldn't make sense. So how do you transition from that to Falcon being Captain America? Will the public in the show and the way they wrote it just be willingly acceptable of, oh yeah, okay, he didn't work out, here's the next guy? More than likely there'll be a speech or something by Sam about why it's important that the shield existed and so forth and so on. And I'm interested to see where this goes. Again, it's going to be 6 1-hour episodes. There's only 5 left in a weird way. It's kind of weird saying that already, but like where they're going. And we didn't even talk about Bucky Barnes in this.
I was about to say we're there's a lot to do with Bucky here. Bucky's set up as he's kind of got a lot of PTSD after obviously everything he's been through. He's having nightmares of his days as the Winter Soldier, of the stuff that he did. He's trying to make amends. Somebody that he put into power as Hydra, he very comically takes out of power. There's a scene there. But he also sets up that he's trying to make good and he's having trouble doing it. It also shows that he's struggling because he's alone. He's ignoring Sam. Sam reached out to him a couple times. He ignores it. He has no friends in his phone. It's a very poignant scene there when he's with the therapist, which we know is an ongoing bit. In the show, and they've teased Sharon Carter, and my thought is, and I don't think this is as far out of theory, is that Sharon will end up with Bucky at the end as like an item, even though she wasn't in this episode. She was teased again, also in the end credits specifically. They mentioned Agent 13, which of course is her spy name. They also mentioned a few times in the credits the Patriot Act, the real life Patriot Act, plus the Human Registration Act, Superpowered Registration Act. My apologies there, because
all of those were correct. You're fine.
It all falls on that. So I'm imagining that's going to fall into it. And they also mentioned Madripoor, which we know at some point this show will go to. Of course, this is a huge. It's a hive of scum and villainy. It's a fictional island.
We said this yesterday too. It's very much an X-Men location.
Yeah.
So Marvel is starting to sprinkle in X-Men type things now. Again, I'm not going to go on a tangent like about Magneto or joke about that anymore. Like, where are the X-Men? But they're doing this kind of like they did in the films, where they'll mention some places that are unique to the X-Men universe. And as I said yesterday as an example, I believe in it was Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3, they mention Wakanda for the first time. They don't go there. We don't show anything. It says next to a place called Wakanda. I believe that was Iron Man 3, if I had to guess. But that's what they do. They kind of introduce these things slowly, and then we'll see where it goes from there. One of the things I really loved about Bucky's scenes was the kind of extending the Captain America timeline in the sense of, the therapist asks, "What do you want?" And he goes, "Peace." And she goes, "That is utter BS.
Yeah.
Like, you can't live like that." Kind of pushing forward and we talked about this last night at Stream Lounge, the kind of hidden struggle of the armed services and people that have served and fought. It's not easy to come back to American society after you were in a war zone. Yeah. And he's literally been in a war zone for 100 years. You know what I mean? So it's it's a very interesting thing that they tapped on that I was happy they did. It's something, again, that does not get discussed enough, and it looks like the show is going to dive deep into that. Keeping in mind, too, that Sam's job before meeting Captain America was to help struggling veterans. That's why he's probably calling Bucky so much. Bucky also famously said to Steve Rogers in Civil War, I'm probably not worth this. Just let me die. He's not ready to resume a normal life.
Yeah.
As you said, Ray, and that is his big struggle. And I think that this show will be giving him reasons to live again, which is going to be phenomenal. And again, we don't know who's going to be Captain America at the show. I think they're going to miss a beat if they don't make it Falcon for many, many reasons.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see how Bucky falls into that. Agent 13 and Helmut Zemo, and again, you feel satisfied after that episode, and you're like, let's get me some more.
Yeah, it was really well done. I think I'm enjoying it definitely more than I did WandaVision. I mean, again, I had ups and downs. It was a roller coaster for me on WandaVision, and I felt I ended on a down note. But this, it got off to a great start. Again, like Lee said, I hope they do go and make Sam Captain America. That Bucky becomes like a hero, Winter Soldier, and that Agent 13 is obviously going to help. I hope that they're all together at the end, right? And obviously that Joaquin is the new Falcon, right? I think that especially after everything happened with Endgame, you need to kind of restart, re-bolster the Avenger lineup a bit here, and I think this is a good way to do it.
Yeah, and we spoke too about how they're doing a great job of really giving backstories and deeper stories to some of the not big three in terms of Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. They're really giving us more with these characters now of why we should care about them, which is a really smart move. Mm-hmm. Because again, they killed they removed two of the top three Avengers, right? And then the other one's in space. Yeah. And we're not going to see Thor for a while. So this is a pretty good strategy, if you ask me.
No, I agree. I agree too. I think this is a great thing. I mean, and then next is Black Widow. There's probably going to be, they might reference something here that's going to be in Black Widow or vice versa. Again, Black Widow takes place. It's a prequel. It's in the past. But like we mentioned also, we know Bucky and Black Widow were both brainwashed in the Red Room. So there could be some kind of reference there, some kind of overlap. And then the question is will this lead into something with Shang-Chi? I think it will. I think that some folks have asked if this will lead into anything like the Eternals or anything else. I think this might lead into something with Shang-Chi. I think they won't go much farther than that. Look for Loki to get more into that Eternal stuff and obviously the bigger picture and maybe even lead more into Doctor Strange too. But I think this is good because this is more grounded. This is more on Earth, where much like Shang-Chi is, even though supposedly he's going to find the Mandarin in the 10 Rings of Power, and if it has the 10 rings in it, who knows what'll happen. Could they do Fin Fang Foom? That's a whole nother story for a whole time. Folks, we're getting into dragons now. That's a whole nother story for another time. But but speaking of Captain America and speaking of new Caps and US Agent and all that stuff, there's a really interesting storyline going on right now in the comics, which actually is kind of paralleling this. Is that somebody has stolen Cap's shield. Cap's shield has been taken, and so Steve Rogers, everybody who's worn the shield or who carried it have now banded together, including U.S. Agent, right? So it's the four Caps. It's Cap, U.S. Agent, Falcon, and Winter Soldier are on a mission across America, and it's in a way it's celebrating 80 years of Cap because we're on the 80th anniversary of Captain America now. Which again, the beginning of World War II was 80. Well, our involvement in World War II, I should say, began 80. It'll be 80 years ago in December. So in order to lead up to that, in order to celebrate that fact, and to remember and to acknowledge and to again remind people that World War II was not that long ago in the history of the world, and that it's something important that you should probably learn about. That they're doing a celebration of Cap through the years in this way. And they're also introducing other Captain Americas, and this was a big deal. And of course, some people were against it, but Marvel is introducing he's going to be introduced into the ranks of Captain America. The first gay Captain America the character's name is Aaron Fisher. He is called Captain America of the Railways. He specifically fights for the rights of the homeless and the poor and the underprivileged. I think his version of the shield, and I think this is how they find him, is that he's basically like a trash can that's been painted red, white, and blue. but I think it also is highlighting an issue here about the homeless population and the folks in poverty here in this country. And I think it's a really great idea about what Marvel was doing to show all kinds of shades and slices, and that this is America. We are a rainbow. We are a melting pot of all kinds of peoples and cultures, and people on the top and people on the bottom too are still people. But yeah, so Aaron Fisher, this is going to be an interesting story, but it's going to be one of the first characters that Cap meets, and actually, once after he meets him, will be a backup story to this. For those who don't know, that's a shorter story at the end of a comic. Throughout this series of Cap's hunt to get his shield back. I think honestly, I'm just saying, it's a great idea. All about this. I love everything about this. The hunt for the shield, the celebration of 80 years of Cap, the remembrance of World War II. Gay Captain America. I think it's great. It's all great, I think. I think it's a great idea. And everybody who doesn't like it, screw you. So there you go.
Yeah, like I'll say this. Representation matters. And I think that this shows that, the big argument I always hear, Ray, which I don't agree with, but the big argument is like, well, you can't take that away from that Captain America and give it to this Captain America. You can't make Superman black. You can't, yeah, you can, number one. Number two is that, you can always... I like this. There's more than one Spider-Man, right?
Yep.
No one has a problem with Miles Morales for some reason, right? So, I think they do a good job when Steve Rogers is still around and there's another Captain America. It's just saying we can all be Captain America. That's what comic books are all about, is we can all be these heroes.
Yep.
And yeah, look, I actually applaud comic books for taking on some of these issues in their own way and to tell stories about them. I'll just put it this way. If you have a problem with a gay Captain America, it's not Captain America that's the problem.
Right. Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
There you go.
It's you.
Yeah. I mean, comic books have been doing this forever. Stan Lee has always been was always a champion of civil rights and of equal rights. Obviously, at this point, again, it's why he created a character called Black Panther in the '60s. It's why he specifically, again, it's a 2-issue series. I go back to it all the time. But in the '70s, talking about the right to own a gun, to have a gun, right? Which is basically, it talks about the perils of gun violence, right? Again, not saying, and not to get into this, but not saying to take your guns away, but that you should be responsible. And there should be background checks and stuff before you can get a gun. And it goes into, Spider-Man having to take down a common thug with a guy who goes on a very dark path once he acquires a gun. And talk about the dangers and perils of these things. And again, just to bring education and to start a discussion and to talk about these things. And it's important. So,
yeah. Look, I'll say it again. Representation does matter. You and I have only seen mostly white superheroes our entire life. And to be fair, we're not in a position where we'd have to think twice about that, but a lot of the population is. And, why shouldn't Captain America be black? Why shouldn't Captain America be gay? Why shouldn't there be a black Superman? There's no rules there that says you have to do anything. Just to kind of follow your train of thought, Ray, I remember in X-Men Days of Future Past, the comic, Storm and Wolverine being a thing
was a big deal.
And that was that was controversial to some people, which I didn't get at the time. I'm a little older now, so I understand what was happening now, but that was a big deal. And look, here's the thing, man. People get lost in their own little world and they get lost in their adulthood. When I was 7 and I saw that, here's what's cool about it. I didn't think twice about it. Yeah. When I saw Storm and Wolverine, I didn't think twice about it. It wasn't a thing to me.
No, I was like, that's cool.
It was adults that I'm not. Yeah. Why does she have a mohawk? I'm not saying adults ruin everything, but it was only the adults that had an issue with it. Yeah. Right. It's funny. I'm in an interracial marriage now. I always forget that till I think about it, but because that's not why I married my wife. But it's one of those things of if you want to normalize things like that, sometimes you have to do that. I will say this too: you can push that line too far sometimes. Mm-hmm. All right, there is in my opinion, you can go too far with things at times if it becomes unsafe, or if it's infringing on other people's privacy or beliefs, right? You gotta have a conversation, Ray, as you said. You don't just throw it out there and the time is right for this and it's happening, right? So, but if you're outraged about it, don't read it. Yeah, it's that simple, and don't talk to us.
That's it.
No, you can talk to us. I promise myself. We'll be happy to have a conversation with you, as long as it's conducive and all thoughts are
Keep it
heard.
civil. Keep it civil, and we'll talk to you. But
I will talk to you.
Yeah. So Lee will talk.
Lee will talk to you.
Yeah.
Right. Ray will be back in the smoke coming out of his ears.
Yeah.
While Lee's like, calm down. Hey, buddy, sun's getting real low.
Oh goodness, yes. But yeah, so moving on now from comic books, that was a fun segment. We've got a lot of other fun things here going on in the video game world. Sony, we've been talking about Sony kind of. Sony, look, they're doing very well here at the beginning of the generation. The PS5 is selling very, very well, as is the Xbox Series X. But we also been making a lot of notes here about how Xbox has been acquiring everything left and right. So finally, Sony's acquired something kind of, it seems, in a counter move. And this was interesting because this is, again, the fighting game community is very strong. It's huge. The premier fighting game tournament, like if you are a fighting game and you want to be taken seriously, you need to be part of EVO. Smash Brothers, Injustice, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter.
Mortal Kombat. You just keep saying that. Yeah. Just say Mortal Kombat over and over again.
King of Fighters, like all the big fighting games are part of this weekend here.
Street Fighter 2, 1 through 57.
Yes, exactly.
Whichever version of Street Fighter 2 Deluxe Ultra Mega Power Set.
Super Turbo. Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah, they made that game a few times.
Yeah.
It was a good game. It was a great game, to be fair.
That is Capcom's motif, is like 7 versions of Street Fighter 2, 7 versions of Street Fighter 3, 7 versions of Street Fighter 4. It's just like, okay, guys, it kind of makes me not want to buy Street Fighter anymore.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mythologies. No, you didn't like that?
Okay,
6, 7, 8, 9. You didn't like that one?
Yeah,
no?
It's like versus
DC,
DC Universe?
DC,
okay.
yeah, you like that. Okay.
We'll do something better. We'll figure it out. We got an idea
9,
for this.
10, 11, 12, yeah.
As both
well,
Lee and
rare,
I
we both took drinks
at the same time. So
a
sorry about that
drink.
second pregnant pause there, folks.
For those of you watching, that was probably pretty funny. For those of you listening, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So the long story short is that Sony, along with an esports organization, have joined forces to acquire EVO. Probably save the organization. EVO's been in some trouble the last year. The CEO of EVO, of course, was in a sexual assault scandal. And there was, and we'll get into another one of those later. I think it was actually specifically with young children, which is again obviously one of the worst. Probably the worst thing you could do.
Scum.
Yeah, absolute scum of the earth. Absolute
Scum.
horrible person. But yeah, and then of course last year the tournament was canceled anyway because of COVID. Sony's bringing it back. They're doing an online-only version in August with obviously plans to bring it back physically the year after. But this is a big deal that Sony now is in charge of the biggest fighting game tournament in the world.
So I don't see this as big a power move as you do. It is a big move for Sony. Right. I do agree with you on that. But to compare it to what Microsoft is doing, I think I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm saying people are doing that.
Right.
All right. Microsoft bought Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda's here. EVO's not on the screen.
Like, they just tossed a few billion at Bethesda to buy one of the biggest game makers there is.
Yeah.
Right. So what I think Sony's doing, Ray, is I don't see this as a counter move to that because it's not going to even register on the scale when you look Bethesda versus EVO. What I think Sony's doing, and again, people are going to start thinking I'm crazy now, is they're starting to buy up assets that will make them more valuable to Microsoft when Microsoft comes knocking on the door in a few years. This is not going to happen right now. I don't think this is anything happening in the next few years. But, maybe next gen or even one more past that. I still don't think there's going to be another PlayStation. That's what they're doing. They're saying, well, we own this, we own that. They're making themselves as valuable as possible. And yeah, maybe they're going to focus on that industry. So when someone comes, hey, when Sony goes up for sale, Sony Games, that this is part of it, right? That's what I think. Again, people are going to start thinking I'm crazy because PlayStation's not going anywhere. Man, there are all the signs that it's going that direction.
Seven. Right? A lot can happen in the next 7 years.
That's very true too. But in terms of the money right now, it's not even close. It's not close. It's not comparable. And again, I'm not rooting for Microsoft. I don't want people to think that. I'm just looking at the writing on the wall, and this is big time money versus, company money, right?
Right.
With EVO. But it's a huge deal. It's great for the fighting fans. I mean
Yes.
that. Like you do want one of the game makers, I'm sorry, one of the platformers in charge of this, to be fair.
Yes, for sure.
But when it comes down to it, Ray, Microsoft is showing, no mercy.
Hold on, I got one more point before we
All
get to the
right,
next topic.
fine.
I want to mention something. It's going back to the Bethesda point. It was something I just realized. Bethesda is one of the premier RPG makers. What if Microsoft is also planning to have them make a new Fable? Fable was obviously one of the big first-party properties that Microsoft has had for a while.
Right.
Now that they're acquired, not only will they make the games that they were planning on making, more Wolfenstein, more Elder Scrolls, more Fallout, but now this could be a big boon because obviously this is something that since Lionhead basically kind of went away or they acquired them and things have been happening. Peter Molyneux left, and obviously that there's been a lot of turnover with that brand, and then Rare and all this other stuff. They've wanted to bring back Fable. Fans have wanted Fable. They haven't been able to get Fable right since really. Honestly, the Fable Connect game wasn't bad, but it was a gimmick game. But since Fable 3, and it's been a while. It's been 10 years. What if Bethesda? Not only is this acquisition great because obviously now again you have some of the biggest IP in the business under your umbrella and you can do what you want with it. But what if it's also a chance for you now to bolster and help bring back some of your old IP that's gone by the wayside? Could be a big thing for Microsoft here again in a market where exclusives still matter, and Fable would definitely be a Microsoft exclusive. So just something else to think of again in Microsoft's bid for No Mercy.
Yeah, I mean they strike first, man. They do. So they strike hard.
Strike
and
first,
they show
strike hard, no
mercy. As I come up with the best transition we're gonna have today.
Yeah. So speaking of, so obviously that's the motto for Cobra Kai in the show Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid movies. Obviously, mentioning that
I'm sorry. I'm stopping it. This is I'm not gonna let you introduce this because there's not enough energy behind it. And this is my 101 episodes. This was the only job I had. So I'm stopping you to do this for you.
Okay.
All right. Everybody, Ray is involved with the brand new video game that just came out. I'm serious. This is a big deal. It's not even so much about Cobra Kai Card Fighter, which you should get now in the App Store.
Yes.
This is more about the fact that Ray has been working on a game. This is what he does for his job. His name is on the credits at the end of the game. My best friend is now associated with a video game that debuted at number 1 in the card section of the Apple Store, which
number
is
13 overall, which is very good.
That's huge too. It's trending. The game is Cobra Kai Card Fighter. We'll talk about the game in a minute, Ray, but I'm just so proud of you as your friend, which makes you super uncomfortable, and that's fine because this is my show for the next 10 seconds. But it's a big deal, friends. Like everybody told Ray and I with what we wanted to do that we'd never do it. And this is just another milestone for Ray in his life, and for me. We're kind of interconnected forever now. That he did it. He did it. All right, he did it. They said there's no future in that. He did it. All right, and one of the things we do like to promote here, again, Ray and I we're in our mid to late 30s. That's what I'll say. I'm not going to say the other number that everybody keeps trying to remind me of, but I will tell you that if you're listening to the show, whether you're our age, older, younger, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want to do. All right? Just don't let them tell you that. You can do anything you want to do. It may be hard. You might not have the money. Everything might be telling you that you can't do it. But Ray, everyone told you there was no future, that you'd never do it, and you did it. Nothing, doesn't matter what the game is, doesn't matter how it does from here on out, that can never be taken away from you, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I am the community manager for Boss Team Games. We launched Cobra Kai Card Fighter a couple days ago. Part of the reason why I could not watch Justice League is that obviously launching a game is very time consuming.
It's the main reason.
Yes, it was the main. Yes, yeah. I mean, it was also 4 hours long. If it was 2 hours, I might have been able to squeeze it in. But I was also.
You made the right call. You did your job. So let's get into the game a little bit because I'm really enjoying it. So little known fact, I don't have a lot of time to play card games, whether it be like Gwent or Magic the Gathering. One of those digital, one of those not.
Right.
But I do enjoy them. It's something that actually, Ray, I could see myself, if you and I are ever able to see each other again, that I have a feeling we might start doing that, like just playing like little card games with beverages that have a percentage on the bottle. But this game is really fun. So I'll let Ray kind of dive into it a little bit. But basically, it's a card fighting system, and it's based around Cobra Kai.
Yes.
Seasons 1 and 2, correct?
Yeah. So it recaps the first 2 seasons of Cobra Kai, the TV show. We do have plans coming down the road, obviously, to add more to it. For season 3 and more characters and stuff like that. We have what we call post-launch plans, of course, but we'll launch this with the 12 fighters from both Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do. You can also get right now as our Sensei Pass, which is our season pass, Stingray, which of course everybody loves Stingray. It's like, from now on, you can call me Stingray.
You know what's funny is, so last night we showed a picture of Stingray. Ray kind of looks like Stingray a little bit.
If I grew a beard and had aviators.
But Ray, we didn't even mention the fact that Ray is in his name.
Yeah.
Stingray.
Yeah, I am actually Ray from Cobra Kai. So
yeah, who knows? Well, like I said, we're not going to show the picture again. If you want to see that, go watch our live replay last night of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where you can see that. But
yeah,
the game's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's not just about going through the story again. There's obviously an online fighting mode.
Yes, you can also take on people online. There's online leaderboards, rankings. We're going to do special tournaments in the next couple of months, so stay tuned for that. There is a lot of post-launch plans coming, so definitely stay tuned.
So for me, the game feels like kind of like a mix. And again, this is how it felt to me, and this is a compliment, but it felt like a mix of follow me, a Candy Crush style app where there's daily rewards, there's things you can find, there's something to come back every day, not so much the puzzle nature of it.
Right.
A little bit Pokemon Go, and the fact that there's a story, there's events.
Yep.
Right. You want to unlock certain characters.
Right, play the story to unlock more characters.
Yeah,
yep.
Not 1,000 characters, but a few characters, and then there's a video game feel to it too, where it's just you're playing the game of a movie. I really enjoyed it. So again, there's a story mode, right? You should walk people through. The story mode's really fun if you want to just kind of relive the story. But then there's the fighting stuff. It's really fun. Some strategy to it.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying
there's a huge strategy element for those who are familiar with the collectible card games, right? It's kind of a rock, paper, scissors format. Punches beat throws. Throws beat kicks. Kicks beat punches.
I love that.
Thank you. There's also wild cards. You can recover health, recover energy. Right. There's a stamina bar. There's other things where you can boost certain attacks. You can negate other attacks. And it's a balance. And basically you get a 25 card deck. You play 3 cards at a time, face down, or up to 3 cards. You don't have to play 3. You can play only 1 or 2. We'll get into that in a second. And each person turns 1 card over at a time, and then it's I play a punch, but if Lee plays a throw, then my punch does damage. If it's the other way around, then or I played a kick, then his throw would do damage to me. And you have a life bar. You have so many hit points, kind of like in a Yu-Gi-Oh way for those of you familiar with that. And then what ends up happening is that sometimes you have wild cards. If one person if I only play 1 card and you play 3, well then obviously your other 2 cards are going to hit because there's nothing to counteract with it. But some people like to do that because then at the end, if somebody runs out of cards and I have cards remaining, those cards remaining turn into hit points. And to break a tiebreaker goes, you look at the health points. So if I had more of my health points at the end, there's actually a couple of matches I won last night in that way where I
did too. Yeah.
I ran out of cards, but I had a 20-point hit point advantage against my opponent. They got 10 points back for the remaining cards. I still end up winning the ranked match. So
yeah, look, this is what I love about it. If it was just the rock paper scissors type aspect and that alone, it would have got old really fast. I give your dev team and you a lot of credit for making it not that simple. Whoever came up with that was a genius. But when it comes out to the whole thing, it's there's a lot of strategy. There's obviously the rock, paper, scissors aspect. There's a power aspect. There's an energy aspect. There's the strategy of playing your cards. It really becomes a really fun game that makes you think pretty quickly. It's with characters that it's enjoyable. I know it sounds like we're plugging the game, but I really do like it. I really am having a fun time with it. I love that my friend's involved with it. But it's check it out. Just check it out. It's a free download. We should say that it's a completely free download. You can check it out. You don't have to spend any money to get it. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, it's free to play. It's
Right.
free to play. Again, also the microtransactions in the game are cosmetic only. It is not
Right.
pay to win. We were very adamant about that, where you do not have to spend a dime, and you will be able to unlock all the content, even the season pass. Actually, even
Right.
Stingray. If you log in 30 days in a row, you get the new character. Obviously, if you buy the
Today's day
season
3
pass,
for me.
you get him immediately. So there's a way. If you want to wait, you can get him. If you want him now, you can get him. It's what you want to do. It's whatever. We give you the options to do either or. And the great thing about the characters, again, it really doesn't come down to the character. Certain characters give you slight bonuses depending, like Miguel has stronger kicks, and like Robbie has or Aisha has stronger throws. But like, again, it's more about the strategy aspect of it. And then you level up and you get belts. As you get stronger, you get moved to yellow belt, orange belt, green belt, much like you would in karate. So,
And I'll say this too. Already just a few days in, 528 ratings, 4.4 and going up, which is a really great score. 4.4 on the Apple Store is what I'm looking at right now. And I'm just reading some of the reviews, and it's just happy people. So this is great, Ray. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great reviews, great game, great job. I'm happy for you. This is great.
Yeah,
Go get it. Go get it on the App Store.
Yeah, so you can also get it on. You can also get it on Android. It's a 4.1 on Android. We're on both iOS and Android. And yeah, we got more updates coming. We got more stuff. We got a lot of alternate costumes. If you pre-ordered the game, you got a Miguel skeleton skin from him in the Halloween costume.
I got that.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. People are enjoying that. And we got a lot of plans coming for a lot of stuff down the road.
And no, Ray cannot tell you what's going to happen in Cobra Kai Season 4.
Yeah, I do not know that, folks. That is not the level of we did work closely with Sony on the game, Sony Television, but they don't tell us that stuff. So
Lee and Ray can tell you because we know what's going to happen based on,
we know we're pretty much assuming Terry Silver is coming back. But,
yes, I think everybody is. But no, it's great. Check it out. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the game. It's fun to play and. Great work, man. That's really cool to see. Something that you had a hand in. And thank you all for supporting them, too.
Yes.
All of you at the game. Thanks for the support.
Thank you. So, moving on, speaking of energy and heart and all that other stuff, we're moving now into the NCAA tournament in our sports section. The first story is an unfortunate one. Geno Auriemma, who, of course, is the amazing women's coach of UConn, is not going to be with the team, at least to start, because of COVID. So he says he's doing fine. He should be all right in the long run. We are, of course, pulling for him to be okay. And, of course, obviously, they are in good hands. Geno's assistant coach is one of the few few assistant coaches in the Hall of Fame. So their assistant coach, whose name escapes me right now, I'm sorry, ma'am. She will be able to handle that team no problem. And of course, UConn is still strong favorite.
That's just the reality of the time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, a lot of like you said, the New York Rangers had 0 coaches on their bench the other day, and they won a game 9-0 against another
hopefully the
hockey
Ranger
team.
coames stay as far away from the team going forward. Actually, did the Rangers play last night?
Yes, they did. Don't look at the score.
Oh no! I mean, they were playing. I knew they were playing Washington.
They competed. That's what I'll tell you.
They competed.
They competed. He's looking at the score. Let's keep talking about the NCAA.
Oh, come on!
So the Giants must have been playing too. So let's talk about
2-1.
the
You wasted all your goals on Philly trash. Anyway, sorry.
What was that, Ray? What'd you say?
The Flyers suck, just like the Rangers.
Okay, no, I can take that part.
Yeah, we both suck.
No, not so much.
You guys suck a little less.
We beat the Islanders. We beat the first place team. I
don't think they're first place anymore either. I think Washington.
Not after we beat them.
Yeah, I think actually Washington's ahead of them now. Anyway,
you're welcome, New York.
Yeah. So back to March Madness. We snuck a hockey segment into the basketball segment.
That's what we do.
Yep. A lot's happened in the first day of March Madness. Today's games have just begun. We obviously don't know the results of them, but the first day's games. The first real game. I don't care about the first 4 play-in games. 4 big upsets. Rutgers, who were a 10 seed. I can't believe I'm saying this. Beat Clemson. Rutgers is advancing. Holy cow!
Yeah, and listen, don't ever sleep on these Cinderella stories. Sometimes teams get in, they start to believe.
Yep.
They can go really far. I remember that year George Mason went to the Final Four.
Yep.
I mean, it was just like out of nowhere.
Yep.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yep. Syracuse, an 11 seed, beat San Diego State. I'm less surprised about that, actually. And then the two big ones. North Texas, a 14 seed beat Purdue in overtime over a 3. That was a huge upset. And also in overtime, Oral Roberts beats Ohio State. And by the way, neither of those overtime periods were close. Like both North Texas and Oral Roberts dominated those overtime periods, and it was unbelievable. That's your big upset right now in the tournament. A rare 15 beats a 2. Holy cow. So yeah, those are your bracket busters, folks. If you had a bracket, you lost. Warner Wolf used to say, "You lost."
Yeah, baby. Yeah, those two.
Yeah, exactly. Oh goodness, yeah. So we have another story out of the NCAA tournament, and this one is not as fun.
Well, wait, before you get to that, I do need to give a shout out to my Drexel Dragons.
Oh,
who
yes,
made the tournament for the first time in several decades and got their butts kicked by Illinois. Drexel, a 16 seed, by the way. So this is not super surprising, but they lost 78-49 to Illinois, but it's still a big deal that Drexel was in the tournament. Yep. They won the CAA this year, so it was an automatic bid. Mm-hmm. That's cool to see. It's cool when your team makes it. Obviously, Ray, I know Rutgers is kind of New Jersey's team.
Right.
When it comes to college sports, at least Division I.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, look, I've always loved this tournament. I love where it goes. But as Ray was saying, I don't love this next story too much.
No, this next story is terrible, and it just kind of goes to show that we got a long ways to go with certain things, folks. Basically, some of the women athletes participating in the women's tournament tweeted out, because they're all sharing a lot more facilities this year to try and prevent COVID, bigger bubbles, obviously, with all the teams there. And the women athletes tweeted out that they were told
several of the
women's athletes tweeted out that they were told that there wasn't enough space for the women's gym for women. So they literally showed a picture. It was a single rack of barbells or dumbbells inside a small, almost looked like a closet, honestly.
Yeah, and like a yoga mat area.
Yeah, like it was ridiculous. And then they showed the men's, which was a full gymnasium with hundreds upon hundreds of weights.
Yeah, this looked bigger than the Rock's Iron Paradise. Like, that's how big this was.
And then when it was brought to then when they complained, they said, well, there just wasn't space for you, which is bad enough as it is. But then they went to the gym next door or whatever, and there was
behind it. It was in the same gym.
Yeah, so
there's a whole nother gym.
Yeah,
just empty.
There was plenty of space, and now, of course, the NCAA says this has been rectified. But yeah, exactly. It just goes to show, again, that so many people in our society are sometimes thought of as an afterthought, and especially when it comes to women's athletics, that needs to stop happening. Like, and I get it. Like, look, right now the there's more money right now in men's athletics, and I understand.
We got to separate those in the conversation. Like, right. So like look, when it comes down to like men's sports as a draw versus women's sports, like, there's a fair conversation there from a business standpoint. Men's sports bring in more money.
Right.
That's not crazy. So when women athletes, especially we're thinking about like women hockey players right now in mind, when they're not asking for fair pay when they say, "Oh, I want to make $7 million a year." They know well that their leagues don't make the kind of money to give those type of salaries, but they want salaries. They just want regular salaries that they can live off of if that exists, and they can't get that if they don't grow their leagues. Okay, so I want to make this really apparent. Like, I'm not saying in any way that the women's NCAA basketball tournament is anywhere close to March Madness. It's not financially, right? I'm not going to say anything about the skill because I don't think that's a fair comparison at all.
Right.
Right? But no, financially,
in terms of ratings and all that other stuff,
right.
Too. Like, yeah.
I mean, you're talking potentially millions, if not billions of dollars for one and millions for the other, literally millions. But these are athletes. These are collegiate Division I athletes. Right. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you're a Division I athlete, you're an athlete, and you need to be treated like an athlete. Yeah. So this is the thing that kills me, Ray. And we've said this. We don't know if it was the NCAA or the host or everybody. Everybody's pointing fingers. Nobody really knows how this decision came to give them a single rack of dumbbells, which is unbelievably insulting. You would have been better off just with nothing, by the way. Mm-hmm. All right? But there's no way any of those universities, I really can't believe this, and shame on them if it's true, but there's no way those universities would have signed off on that. They all would have given their women the best gym equipment if someone had asked. This is a massive oversight. It's stupid and insulting that female athletes at the Division I level are being treated this way. Mm-hmm. Right? That has nothing to do with money in my mind. And trust me, even if it did, the NCAA has the money for that environment in that tournament. Mm-hmm. Just ludicrous, horrible. Like, I hate seeing stuff like that just as an athlete. Or a former athlete, I should say. I just hate seeing stuff like that. And good for the women for speaking up and saying this is ridiculous. Because here's the thing, man, Ray. This might have been going on for years. This might have been going on for a lot longer than just this year. We wouldn't know about it. Good for them for tweeting. Good for them for speaking up for themselves and getting what they need as athletes to succeed.
Yes. No, for sure. It was good of them to do what they had to do. And again, bad on the NCAA, bad on the facilitators, bad on for again. This is a terrible oversight, and it needs to stop at some point because this kind of stuff happens it's too common, it's too regular,
easily.
And the more we shine a light on it and the more we spotlight this, hopefully the less and less it will happen. So. There we go. So that does it for basketball. I think that's a good note to end on that. Again, we'll have more March Madness, of course, as the weeks go on, because the tournament will be, of course, over this next several weeks. Moving on now to football. Yeah, football's a lot of fun, actually, this week, for the most part. For the most part. Well, actually, honestly, it's kind of, we start high, and then we're going to go down low. It's kind of the pattern here with sports, unfortunately, as things have been happening.
Do you want to start low and go high? And
I mean, we could. I mean, actually, you know, it actually would be a better transition.
Do that.
Actually,
yeah.
Because speaking of people who have been who've been mistreating women, or at least again, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But Deshaun Watson, who demanded a trade out of Houston, that was, of course, the big story leading up to the next couple of weeks here in the NCAA. It's not the NCAA, the NFL. Sorry, my brain is woohoo. Deshaun Watson wanted a trade out of Houston. That was the big story of the NFL the last couple of weeks. Best quarterback probably available if that could happen or be pulled off. Now has been sued by 7 separate women for different incidents of sexual assault and abuse. And it's terrible. Look, I mean, I can't say. I don't know what else to say. This needs to stop happening too. I don't know why so many athletes. Again, innocent until proven guilty. But when this seems to be very credible allegations, and you have to obviously believe the victim until they are proven otherwise. But it's just a terrible story. It's terrible, and I don't know. If he's guilty, I hope they throw the book at him. It's that simple. Like, I don't know what the NFL's begun investigating. Yeah. It's going to be an ongoing investigation, and it's just awful. So,
well, look, the NFL takes that issue somewhat, I'll just say, more seriously than they have in the past. You know, They had a whole campaign about this. They say there's a zero tolerance rule with it. I don't think they've practiced that well, but yeah, look, you're right. There's got to be a kind of a trial, if you will, or something like that. People go, he shouldn't be able to play until after the trial. I don't necessarily agree with that either, right? Like, he can play until he's proven guilty. Like, there's not, because if you don't do that, it's going to become a strategy for lots of different athletes. And we don't want wrongful suits like that, because it actually takes away from the real issue here. But 7 women, that's a lot. And he absolutely deserves to be held accountable for that. And should it come out that he is guilty in any way, then I hope they throw the book at him too.
Yeah, I mean,
but I got to say this: like, I am not against athletes playing until they've had their day in court.
Right.
If they're told not to play, if a team tells them not to play, that's fine. You know, again, just throwing it back to hockey. This just happened with the Rangers with Anteri Panarin.
Right.
He had what looks to be completely false allegations that have just disappeared.
Yes.
Thank you, Russian government. But he left the team for a few games and came back.
Yeah.
That was another way of handling it. So, you know, it's one of those things. You got to see kind of how it goes. This has happened to several NFL athletes over the last 30 years, to be fair. And if these allegations are true, I hope they throw the book at him too.
Yeah. Again, innocent until proven guilty, but an investigation has to go on. It's very sad that it seems to be almost every other week. It seems to have something that is coming up like this. But like Lee said,
good though. That's a good
right.
thing,
Yes.
too.
No. A spotlight. Yeah. Look, if this happens, you need to be charged and called out, and for sure. But hopefully, this is again the continuing change in our culture, and again, innocent until proven guilty. Artemi Panarin, like Lee mentioned, it looks like was a completely false allegation.
It just disappeared.
Yeah,
I mean, literally just disappeared.
Yeah, we're lucky that Panarin just didn't disappear, because the Russians are known for doing that too. But that's another story for another day.
Killers.
What?
I said they're killers, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to politics today on this show.
No, for sure. And then other things. So again, coming out of the valley, that was these low points.
The canyons of destruction.
Yes. Some fines have been levied against NFL teams for COVID protocols earlier this year. The Raiders have been fined $800,000 for their COVID protocols, and the Saints were fined, I think, an undisclosed amount, and also were forced to forfeit their 6th-round draft pick. And think about it, guys. All you had to do was wear your masks. That's it. So the NFL obviously continuing to take COVID very, very seriously. This was, and these were necessary fines. We kind of knew that something was going to happen here. And in the offseason, the NFL has they fined them during the season as well, specifically individuals. But now they've also fined the organizations here. And look, a 6th-round draft pick's a draft pick. It's a big deal whenever you lose a draft pick.
That's bigger than the money, in my opinion.
Yeah. And this is legit hurting the franchise. The Saints are looking to rebuild. The Saints are going to be are in the process of rebuilding. Breeze is retired. We talked about that last week. Obviously they lost. Now we're going to get into the NFL free agency. They lost one of their star pass rushers, Trey Hendrickson. He went to the Bengals yesterday. So yes, this is a big deal. And now speaking of NFL free agency, lots of moves all over. The Patriots are rebuilding now. They have rebuilt their offensive line. They've already signed 2 new guys. They've also got 2 new tight ends, including Hunter Henry and Geno, Henry from the Chargers, Geno from the Titans. They are making sure that Cam Newton, if he is the transitional quarterback, will have as much weapons as possible this one year. They signed some pass rushers. They've Judon away from I think it was the Ravens. They are rebuilding. They are ready to go, and they have made a huge splash in free agency.
Yeah, our good friend of the show, Ray Santiago, shared this great clip from Endgame the other day of Thanos basically saying, "What I'm about to do to your puny, annoying planet. I'm going to enjoy it." Talking about Belichick kind of arming up. A lot of people seem to be surprised that the Patriots are fighting. I am not, in the sense of, I'm not saying I would have predicted any of these moves, but I'm saying if you thought that team was just going to quietly, especially after Brady just won the Super Bowl, you're crazy. They're fighters. They're going to fight.
Yep.
Newton's going to be completely motivated. As you said, Ray, way more tools. I mean, Brady would do well with this team.
Yep.
I mean, technically he does well with any team, I guess. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they're back. And I have a feeling that they had a problem watching the Bills last year. I think that really bugged them. Not the Jets so much, but the Bills or Miami so much.
Yeah.
But they sometimes that happens. Sometimes you don't make it and you watch another team win and it just hellfire raises.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, if that doesn't work, I'll put it this way. When they got Cam Newton last year, I remember thinking, wow, they're going to be really good. Yeah. And they were mediocre, right? But now it's like, okay, if they're not really good now, then something really is wrong. And this is Belichick's last year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. That's true. I mean, I would even give Belichick. I would say this: if they draft a quarterback, I would give Belichick a year after that. Again, this is a transition.
If he wants it, he's getting old, man.
That's also true. He might want to retire. Yeah. I don't think they'll fire him, but he might retire. That's true.
I think if he wins one more, he's out. That's what I think.
I think well, here's the thing. If they draft a quarterback, you have Josh Daniels waiting in the wings, their offensive coordinator. It might be one of those things where if this isn't a good year, then maybe he also hangs them up, like you said. They let Newton go. Right. They let Josh Daniels handle the rookie quarterback.
Yeah, if you can't win with those tools,
they will definitely do better this coming season than they did last year.
Right.
I'd be genuinely surprised. Because, again, Cam Newton's only, 31, 32? He's got plenty left.
Yeah, and he had a rough year. I mean, he had a rough transitional
year.
Yeah, again, there's too many factors in what happened within the locker room and with that team last year.
Right.
For anyone to say, well, he sucks, he's washed up. Like, I don't really know. I mean, he didn't have a great season, sure, but Brady's had bad seasons. That's true. I mean, he's had less than par seasons. I mean, every quarterback does. So we'll see what happens. Yeah,
I think also, and speaking of quarterback, I agree completely. I think that we'll see Newton bounce back this year. And speaking of quarterbacks, had a lot of quarterback moves already in the league. Ryan Fitzpatrick is now a Washington football teamer. I can't wait till they announce.
He's a member of the football team.
Yeah, I really hope that at least by the draft they'll have a new logo.
Yeah, I'm expecting something quite soon.
Yeah.
You know they have it done already, so it's just
Right.
like, let's unveil it already.
Yeah, exactly. So Fitzpatrick, 1 year, $10 million deal. Again, transitional guy, but like probably the best guy for a team to transition with. He's a winner.
It's true.
Where at least the last few years, wherever he goes, I should say even he's a winner. He's a competitor.
Well, with Smith being let go, he's a perfect fill-in for that role.
For the
You know
1
what I mean?
year.
Like
Because you don't know what you're going to get out of
yeah.
at a Heineke, obviously who they signed, and they think that he might be the guy. But like he is just a good locker room guy. Everywhere he goes,
Totally.
he's loved. He always
wins,
does what's right
too.
for the team.
Yeah, he wins.
and-
He wins. I mean, I don't. His teams doesn't usually win, but he wins.
Right. He Fitz
You know?
magic. He always still has once in a while, every couple of weeks, he pulls out that Fitz magic. Again, that game, the Dolphins
Right.
versus the Raiders. I was texting Lee during the season, like, did you see what Fitz magic just did? Like, came off the bench in the
Right.
fourth quarter. Like, it just, he's still got a little left in the tank. And for $10 million,
Yes,
1 year, low risk, high reward for Washington.
He's the second best backup in NFL history.
Yes, because he hasn't won the big one, which Lee, you
Yes.
mentioned earlier. There's a rumor that Mr. Foles might be coming back to Philadelphia.
The rumor is that Foles is on the trading block,
Especially-
and that
yeah.
Philadelphia would be very interested in having him. That's all it is. But Nick Foles is most likely going to move.
Yeah.
That's really the rumor right now. So we'll see what happens with that. The greatest backup quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Well, and the big reason why Foles is now expendable is that Andy Dalton has left Dallas. He has signed a
Right.
1 year deal with Chicago. It is presumed that Dalton will be the starter in Chicago because I do agree. Look, Foles is a great backup. To me, Dalton is still a legit starter. Him too. He's only
Sure.
33, 34. This feels a lot like when Carson Palmer went to the Cardinals and had a resurgence, or Kurt Warner was cut by the Giants and went to Arizona. I think
Right.
Dalton could have a good year in Chicago. I'm not saying he will, but I'm saying he
Right.
could.
Right. We'll say this again about Foles is that, I said this before last season. He just never has seemed to work as a starter anywhere he goes. He's perfect for the backup role.
Yes.
Like a lot of people, like he's earned his chance to start, but and again, last year was more injury based than anything. But they weren't really winning. Chicago wasn't really winning with him for whatever reason. He's just not a starter. But listen, man, if you told me. I would say this to you, Ray. Actually, be honest with me here, right? If I said to you, look, you can be a below average starter in the NFL or the greatest backup of all time and a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, that's not tough for me.
Yeah, I think you take the latter.
Yeah, I think you have to, right?
Yeah.
Because it means you won the big one, right?
You can't take
Right,
away
or
a
would-
championship.
Yeah, or how about this? How about this is a good question for everybody. Would you rather win the Super Bowl and be MVP as the quarterback, or have a really good career and maybe like win it on the bench? You know what I mean? Like I'd rather be in the game. If you told me, huh? Yeah, I'm serious, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm telling you, again, if you told me, like, hey, you're gonna beat the greatest football team probably in history, the greatest quarterback and probably in history. You're going to make one of the most iconic plays in history at the Super Bowl. I mean, it's nothing to be wrong. You have He's got a statue in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He's got a statue. He's never started. He's never been a starter in terms of for a full season, ever.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. He's got a statue.
Yeah. It's a big deal. It's a big,
You know,
big
it's
deal.
amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. It is interesting to see what will happen there. Other moves, my Giants have... I'll say this. I like the move that supposedly they've come to terms with tight end Kyle Rudolph. I like Rudolph. I think he's a great end zone target. He's very sure-handed, unlike Evan Engram, who is make a lot of drops, very injury prone. I really think that on draft day, the Giants are going to try and move Engram. There are more and more ideas that they're going to try and trade him. I think if Engram gets his act together, he could be a very good tight end. But he's a receiving tight end. I'm sure there are teams out there who would trade a fourth-round draft pick for him.
Sure.
And again, if you're going with Daniel Jones, you want the most sure-handed, best weapons around him. And to me, Rudolph is an improvement. I think Rudolph is an upgrade at the tight end position.
You're going with Daniel Jones? They have to.
That's what they say. I don't want Daniel Jones, but that's what they say. They're going to go at least one more year with him. So
they have to because he got drafted so
that's the thing. You have to stick with him for at least one more. I say one more year. I don't want to see. I hate him. We all know I hate him. But that's what the Giants are doing, and if that's what you're going to do, if that's what you're going to do, you have to upgrade everything around him to make sure that he can possibly do the best he can. This is an upgrade at the tight end position. Sadly, the Giants did not upgrade their offensive line. They got worse. They let Kevin Zeitler go for cap. Because, again, also we mentioned last week the salary cap got lessened. Zeitler signed with Baltimore yesterday for 3 years, $22 million. One of the best guards in the league. That is really a sad move. I hope the Giants plan to rebuild the offensive line in the draft. That's the other good thing about the Rudolph signing. This means the Giants will not draft a tight end this year. Definitely do, unless it's like in the 7th round or something, or 6th round, because the Giants don't have a 7th round draft pick. But, like, definitely do not take a tight end, I think, at this point. They signed a couple backup linebackers. They re-signed Leonard Williams to a 3-year deal. That's where a lot of money went, our star defensive tackle. He's now the second highest paid defensive tackle behind Aaron Donald in the league. I don't think he deserved that kind of money, but I'm glad they locked him up for the next 3 years. The Giants' defense, we said it all year long, is now everybody is basically under at least another 2 to 3 year contract. They are set. The Giants' defensive starters is solid. I would still like the Giants to go out and possibly get a 1-year deal on a Malcolm Butler type. Malcolm Butler, of course, was let go by his contract up was up in Tennessee. He's a free agent. I would also like the Giants sign John Ross, who's a speedy receiver. He is not a legit number one. The Giants still need a legit number one. Supposedly, they're still in talks with Galladay. I do not want Galladay. I want Juju Smith-Schuster out of Pittsburgh. Give him all the monies. I don't care. Figure it out. Trade Evan Engram, trade Daniel Jones, trade everybody. I would rather have Juju, not everybody, but not anybody on defense. Trade anybody on offense. Let's free up the salary cap. I want Juju Smith-Schuster. I want them. You need a legit number one receiver, and I don't want you to draft somebody because we all remember what happened the last time you drafted a number one receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. That's my plans for the Giants. The one good thing, I do like the Rudolph signing. If that goes through, he has to take a physical still. I'm sure he'll pass it. That is the only good signing I think the Giants have done in free agency. Everything else, you guys look like crap. Get your act together, Gettleman. So.
Rare rant in the middle of the
rant.
Last day of winter.
A mini rant. It wasn't the angriest because, again, the Rudolph signing kind of made me like, that was a good move, but I would love to see next week if the Giants trade Evan Engram for draft collateral. I think
that'd probably be a good move.
I think he's worth a 4th round pick. I would take a 5th round pick. Come on, Gettleman, let's go. But yeah, so that does it for our sports section. Moving on now to our mashup of the week.
Mashup.
There we go. I'm like, what sound effect is he going to do
I
today?
know. I love watching you. That was the sound effect, was watching you go like, what's he going to do?
Yeah, the trepidation. Like, oh, God, please don't
I got
sing.
you. I'm in your head. I'm in your head. I'm not that bad.
Lee lives in my head rent-free, unfortunately.
Stinky in there.
It is. It is a dump. It is a toxic dump.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so
keep going.
Although, actually, should we tease? I don't know when it'll come out. Should we tease my guest appearance on something coming up, or should we wait till next week?
Sure. No, you can tease it. Sure, go for it.
I will be making a guest appearance on Lee's other podcast, Our Kids Play Hockey.
The one that I am the host of.
Yes.
Right? That's the funny thing.
This week, we're going to record that. It'll be fun. We're actually going to be talking about, specifically toxicity in certain cultures and stuff.
Yeah, so the idea is that we're going to have a kind of a dual conversation. One's going to be about the kind of the dangers and the toxicity of the gaming culture and the web in general, but also the positive side of it too, because there is a good side to it. We don't want it to be all game, but all bad. But the truth is that there's a lot of parents not watching what their kids are doing, and their kids are hearing a lot of language. And I don't just mean curse words.
Yeah.
That they should not be hearing.
Yeah.
So I wanted Ray to come on both as a guest to both endorse the industry, but also to kind of let our audience, which is mostly hockey parents, know that, look, make sure you're kind of monitoring what your kid's watching because they're hearing words they shouldn't be hearing. And Ray, you're an expert in that field, so we wanted to have you on.
Well, I appreciate it.
But the tables have turned,
Yes,
buddy. That's right. This time I'm going to be on the other side of the screen with my two beautiful and awesome co-hosts, Krista Cashana Burns and Mike Benelli, on Our Kids Play Hockey, coming to you live Wednesday, recorded. Then it'll be shown not live later on. Caitlin's probably losing her mind like now because she edits both of these shows. So she's probably like, which show am I on right now? You're on Geeks, Caitlin. Keep editing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted that, since you mentioned toxicity, I wanted to mention that, just plug that real quick.
No,
here,
thanks for that. Yeah, the episodes will both be out around. That episode will be out next Saturday when you're listening to this.
As we're preparing to probably record, or we're prepping the recording for the next day of
the next episode.
Yeah, so
and my calendar doesn't want to work right now, but that episode will be out Saturday the 27th on Passover. March 27th. So
there you go.
Take a look out there if you're interested in that. If not, thanks for caring.
So there we go. Nice. Our Kids Play Hockey plug.
Yeah, it's a mashup of our two podcasts.
Shows. Yeah. So speaking of that, we're the mashup today is which sports team season deserves a director's cut.
Yes, based off of obviously the Snyder cut.
Yes.
This is if you could pick any team sports season to kind of redo or change a few things to make it better, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, so is it a behind the scenes, or you're like changing the actual season? Like, is it like a Hard Knocks, or is it like you actually get to rewrite history for somebody?
It's either or, right? But it's got to be realistic. It can't be like, oh, I had the worst team in the league and suddenly they won the Super Bowl or something like that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, these little tiny minor changes that would maybe enhance the overall body of work that could make it watchable.
Well, so I would say, so a Hard Knocks style thing. I would love to always see more behind the Super Bowl 42 winning Giants, right? The lead up, like obviously, and honestly, that season, Giants had a great season. They went 10-6, but this was you're starting to see more wild card teams make deep runs. I would obviously love to have seen how were they when in the outside looking in when they were under 500. What was the mentality, things like that, and then of course, obviously, the 2 weeks leading up to more of. I mean, it's been talked about so much. Obviously. All of that stuff leading up to that game has been talked about so much, but I want more because obviously to me, again, that's arguably the biggest upset in Super Bowl history. The undefeated Patriots against the lowly 10-6 Giants who got hot at the right time and ended up winning overall 7 in a row, I believe, if I remember correctly. The last 3 games of the regular season and then the playoff games and then the Super Bowl. So
that must have been a lot of fun in that locker room.
Yeah.
With Coughlin and Eli and all those teams. It's funny because mine are mostly hockey-based. The obvious ones, obviously, like the Sixers, though, a few years ago against the Raptors where we lost on that last-second shot by Kyrie, where the ball seemed to just sit on the rim. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that was painful. Those are little ones. But I'll get personal. Look, it's funny because, I've been a Flyers fan my whole life. And everybody thinks it's the Cup finals that we lost that hurt the most, and it's not. So the 97 Cup final, we got swept by Detroit. Obviously, I'd like to see a different story there. 2010, got beat by the Chicago Blackhawks. I'd love to see a different story here. But the one that hurt the most, Ray, and this is how I want to portray it, is 2004. 2004, the Flyers were in the Eastern Conference Final against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who would go on to beat Calgary to win the Stanley Cup. And we lost Game 7 1-0 in a game that honestly could have gone either way. I think everybody watching that game, it's just like Tampa Bay just happened to get the goal that won the game.
Yep.
And that's the way it is sometimes. I'm not being unrealistic. So my change is that the Flyers win that game and get to go to the Stanley Cup final against Calgary, which I think we would have won. Now, here's why, and this is the part. This is why this is like a bigger one. In that year, that offseason, we got Peter Forsberg. And I remember thinking, man, we are now primed to win the Stanley Cup because Forsberg wasn't really out of it yet. He was still good enough. Do you know what I mean? Yes. Like he was at the end of his career, but he was still playing well. And then the NHL lockout happened and ended the entire 2005 season. It was devastating. That was just like a year you couldn't get back. I would change all of that, whether we get to the Cup final that year or there's just a 2005 season.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a vacated title. Nobody won the Stanley Cup in 2005. That's probably what I would change and do a director's cut of, where we might not win, but I would love to see that. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I was going.
If I had to change one thing, it's obvious, it's easy every time. It's the 2001 World Series.
Right, easily.
It's the Game 7. It's the bottom of the 9th. It's Rivera doesn't blow the save. And people were like, oh, the Yankees win 4 in a row. I'm like, no, you don't understand that we needed that. I mean, that run was magical anyway, but that a month and a half after 9/11, for those of us who grew up in the area, again, I could see the towers from my high school classroom. I'll never forget. I'll never. That's seared in my mind. I'll never forget that, no matter what happens to me. And God,
no, I agree with
God, did we needed that, and I was so defeated.
It was. Everybody but Arizona wanted that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Even myself watching wanted the Yankees to win that year. It doesn't take anything away from what they did. It doesn't take anything away from that run. To be fair, it doesn't take anything away from the Diamondbacks.
Right.
But yeah, that would have been special. I can see that. That would be a great change.
Yeah.
Director's cut.
Yeah. So in the director's cut, that's what happens is that the Yankees win. Rivera doesn't blow the save.
The Yankees win.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, do it. No, it's
No,
good.
yeah, no. I'll save it.
Anytime
We got,
someone says to me the
I got
Yankees win,
baseball
that's all I
streams
hear.
coming up in a month. I'll save it for then.
Right.
But
fair enough.
But yeah,
that's all I think about when someone says the Yankees win. I'm like, you
Yes.
have to follow that up.
Yeah, no, it was. That's one of the things where, that was one of the ones where we needed something to help us bounce back, and I think that would have helped us bounce back a lot quicker. I mean, we had the Giants were 8-8 that year, which was good. You know, that was the year also that Strahan broke the sack record, I believe, which was a good story. But obviously, the Giants didn't win anything, and that.
None of the other teams were really there yet. At that time.
The Rangers were bad.
I'll tell you
the
this.
Knicks were.
Yeah.
The Knicks were on the beginning of a decline.
Yeah, it was the end of the Ewing era, right?
Right, exactly.
So,
Ewing had just retired, and
right.
Yeah. So
I'll say this. I do think it would have helped. New York did bounce back incredibly fast from that. I was privileged to have worked there during that 10-year period following 9/11, and I learned a lot from that city. And they're really, again, right now, to be perfectly fair. New York is not doing well right now, and they will bounce back because that's what New York does. The end.
Yeah.
New York wins. Yeah. New York wins. Oh, so we tried not to end it on a sour note. Way to go, Ray.
Well, you were the one who came up with the mashup. All right.
I did. I had a very uplifting one. We should get sadistic with it. Like, yeah, and then the team that we hate the most didn't win. Ha! Changed it. We reverse director's cut.
Man. Joe Namath's guarantee is a bust.
Right. You start doing stuff like that. Right. I respect
man.
Mark Messier too much to do that one. But yeah,
for me, it's always like,
the Patriots
I would
don't win 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Well, then my next one would be change the 2004 ALCS against the Yankees. And then I just really want bad things to happen to Boston after that, basically.
Yeah, that's par. That tracks for you.
Right? Like, I would have liked to Atlanta to hold on to that 25-point lead. Sorry, Falcons fans, against the Patriots again a few years ago.
Yeah, sorry to remind you of that.
Yeah, let's not get sadistic, because then I go real dark. I can go real dark
real
quick.
You're really good at this. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. And there's the laugh. Good, Anakin, good. Look at that, a little $1.30 episode for you out there.
Yeah, this was another fun one. This was good. This was, again, not a lot happening this week. Again, we'll have a full spoiler cast of the Snyder Cut next week, which will be a bigger...
Watch it. Make sure you watch it, and make sure you join us on Streamlabs.
At this point, folks, we're giving you like a week and a half. So, and even I will somehow find the time.
You could do 30 minutes a day and get there in a time.
Yeah, actually, that's right. That's true. Because we'll be back to I think we'll be back to Tuesday next week in terms of release.
Right.
But, yeah,
also, going to be streaming, as I said, Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Streamlabs. Also going to be streaming The Mighty Ducks on Streamlabs soon.
Yes.
Keep an eye out for some
updates on that. We haven't locked in the time yet for the Mighty Ducks streams, but we are going to be doing them. Yes.
There you
go. So there you go. Always, folks, of course, listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. Share with your friends, geekswhoLikeSports.com, the Facebook group, the Twitter, the Instagram, all that fun stuff. We really, really appreciate you for all listening, as always. Be sure to stay tuned for a special episode of Our Kids Play Hockey next week. And then, of course, we will be here again with episode 102. But until then, thank you all so much for watching or listening to episode 101 of Geeks Who Like Sports. Take care, everybody. Good night. See you later.